you already know what the fuck's going on. It's Peter, or Masculintum here. And you already know there's a Kano game at AG in the semifinals. You know we know to watch it. Like, you're telling me that we not know to watch a Kano game when I can elaborate in min-max random shit? Yeah, that you already know that we're doing it. You already know we're doing it. So, AG, July, semifinals, just got off the back of me losing in quarterfinals, the most interesting game possible, because obviously I was in it. But we have one of the most, actually, like, skill-intensive games, I want to say, of Flesh of Blood currently in the day and age is Enigma Kano. This matchup is, like, so interesting. I know Caleb just made a video on how to play it from the Kano side into Enigma, but this is like one of those matchups to where it is supposed to be good for Kano. I would say it's like 52-55% maybe Kano favored, but the really weird thing is, like, this game's not, it's not free, right? Like, this game's actually, like, really hard to necessarily play. Kano, although favored, has both characters can play at instant speed. Both want to play on their own turn and not play on your opponent's turn. Sometimes as Kano, you do just have to, like, hit. You have to hit the Kano button to try to kill these auras coming down through here, and other stuff like that. Looks like Eugene started off with just playing Potion of Deja Vu, and then responded with this Waxing Spectre, and then it's going to be a Waning Moon for 2 here, and Zach is going to AB2 it, 100% most likely at 1 floating, and then is going to pitch blue into it, so should have 2 floating left. Honestly, this is already a blunder on turn 0. I'm going to be honest with you. They're, like, theoretically, like, okay, cool, it's good to develop this Potion of Deja Vu, you think it'd be really good. Actually pretty, like, just pretty bad, especially because you get punished really hard here. If the rest of your hand isn't like red double blue, the only time I would actually play this Deja Vu potion or Epod on turn 0 like this is if I had 3 blues in my hand, because you cannot allow them to start. You can't let them start the ward effects. You have to kill them pretty much on sight. You have to, unless you have like a Scour or like enough arcane spells that are 4+ to get over the AB3. There's just a lot of like different interactions that you can see. Something on Zach's side that I want to pair uniquely is that he only has AB3. He's not playing like an arms or something, or like say a boots that is going to, give him a lot more ward stuff. He is just playing the traditional AB3, and then he's going to play the Tunic as well to get that extra 1 resource every 3 turns. This game does usually go extremely long, and something that I like to call like pockets during the game. The pockets that we're meaning to is that in Kano side, you can't just like throw all your spells willy-nilly. You do have to pitch stack a decent amount to try to get over the end because of all these ward effects. You're playing against a character that has EB3, they have ward, they can pretty much get around your wildfire combo unless they massively, tap into it, and if they're tapping into it, they usually already have ward on the field, so you have to have like these huge gigantic turns, right? So you have to pitch stack into the second cycle and create these like little pockets, not like dedicate like, okay, I gotta get wildfire blazing, multiple tomes, and like set all of that up. You don't have the time, you don't really have the freedom to be able to do that as well. You just don't have the freedom to do that, which is like perfectly fine for the Kano side. That's why you're playing these Waning Moons, you're playing all these other stuff, so you're trying to get it to a point of time to where you can spell Waning Moon them without them having a lot of AB left, and then slowly chip away their auras, stay in the game, pitch the reds for second cycle. They go a little bit, you take a card or 2 out of their hand on your turn, they try to swing with their stuff on their turn, and then you kablamo them or like do enough damage to do it multiple times and get there. Something Eugene's doing here is he's pitching the Kano to try to go off here. this is a horrendous start, I'll say. This is probably one of the worst starts you can get if you're playing the Kano side on at this point. Big thing here, have that turn 0 blunder here, trying to play that deja vu, get instantly punished for it because you don't have a hand to be able to punish them trying to play an aura on that turn here as well. And so he has the Waxing Spectre on the field here, then has the double cheat play as we saw, able to get the worst card that could happen is the mirror guy here. Then he Kano's, then he's gonna play Gaze without another wizard spell, so it's not back to his hand. He's just gonna opt here as well. So he committed the full blue, full card in his hand to get this Kano. Doesn't commit more to try to get that Gaze value. Doesn't really do anything with it as well. Looks like we have an E-Pot plus a blue 0-for-1 on the field. Man, this is pretty bad here. And he has double red in his hand, double blazing as well. Just like a horrendous start here. So I'm gonna try to AB3 it. Send 3 to stop this. Gets the full AB3, has 2 floating as well. So there's just nothing. If you kept a 0-for-1, like, and you're like, oh, maybe there's just a red in hand, can't even do that as well. Looks like he's just gonna take 8 from this mirror guy. This is horrendous. He has ward 7 on the field right now, and he has 2 things at him. Takes the full 8, goes to 22. He's gonna take another 4 here, as it looks like. Go to 18. Only has 1 card in his hand, maybe a card in arsenal. The only thing to really get him out of this position right now is if he has a 1-for-4. That's like going to be a 1-for-4 here is realistically the only thing he can get out. Maybe a 2-for-5 is pretty much the only way he's going to get out of the situation. Has to be able to kill the Waxing Spectre. Oh, just has a tome too, but he knows he has the double blue on top, so it's not that bad. He has the E-Pot, plus he has the 0-for-1 blue on top. Just needs to be able to Kano here, hit one of those 1-for-4s or 2-for-5s when you're just in a horrendous position here. So Kano's, we have a snapback. It's going to be a 1-for-3. That's not going to be what it's going to go. This is the situation why I actually do not like snapback entirely in versus Enigma. This just doesn't have the breakpoint, right? Also, you don't really need snapback in your Canalist anymore. It's kind of like an outdated sideboard card as well, leading into the Pro Tour. There's not a lot of... The only time I really want that snapback is going to be in the Kano mirrors. Kano mirrors just not viable enough. There's other slots that I want. If I want, primarily attacks versus Enigma, which is super, super interesting to think about, is having those big wounded bulls or self-attack, something that I played at Nationals and something else as well. But if you want that for Enigma or Prism, but also just trying to fit in the stacking package with all these Z-Reacts and Oasis, you don't have enough room to really play snapbacks anymore, which is kind of unfortunate. But if you're not stacking, I guess you could find the space to do that, but it just depends on how you want to build your sideboard. But snapback just not really a card played much anymore. Ooh, Zach looks like actually has a pretty awkward hand here. Pitches a blue onto the snapback and then pitches double red for that Waning Moon. So actually huge break for Eugene here. That's pretty bad, I would say, from Zach's point of view. Is going to commit that 1 resource to swing for 8 here. Pitches another blue, so he had double blue, red. If he had triple blue in his hand, it would have been so good. From Zach, the game probably would have been over in 9 minutes. But looks like Eugene is actually playing Cindering Foresight here. Pretty interesting card to play in this matchup. I know I had to not give Eugene too many slack. I know that he's told me that he got back into the game pretty recently, after taking like a decent break from it. Professional Kano player, he plays Kano very well, but kind of hard to play this matchup correctly when you haven't. I think one of the first times you've played Enigma, I would believe, if he's took a significant break as well. So can't give him too much flack for it, but for playing Cindering Foresight. Doesn't know the Enigma tech. I wish I would have came out with a video before from my boy, but Plays Ensnaring Foresight, Ops 3, sees that he has double blue and Tome, Kano's for the Tome with a yellow, unfortunately, so it's going to be a little bit awkward. Draws the double blue, so he doesn't know the top card, but still needs to commit here. Kano's here. This is going to be a blind Kano. Looks like he's 0 for 1, which is perfectly fine. Actually, 0 for 1 isn't too terribly bad. Thing I would do on this turn specifically is that you kind of have to hit another spell at the top. You kind of have to go for it here because this is going to be a 0 for 1. This is going to be a 0 for 2 because of the Ensnaring Foresight. It's going to take the 2 resources from Zach, and you can then Waning Moon for 3. That's going to take the other aura out. Thus, then it takes the Waxing Spectre out for 3 there. And then you still have to get 1 point more of damage with this as well. So you have 2 cards left in your hand. You have a yellow and you have a blue. I would say that you might actually have to Kano 1 more time off the top and just hope and that you hit a 1 cost here. But if you do hit a 2 cost, it's still good. It would kill both things. So is going to Waning Moon. It's gonna get rid of that. You just have a blue in your hand, 1 floating. To min-max this, you should have Kano'd beforehand because you don't really want to block these auras when you're on the Kano side here, especially if you committed to a game plan of, trying to kill the auras on your opponent's turn. Opponent's tapped out, you have 1 resource. I'd say you pretty much have to go for it. You've seen, unless you have like a 1 for 4 or something in your arsenal, but the problem is you had the turn prior to where you played the red tome guy with the double blue. If you had a 1 for 4, it's probably fine to try to just kill one of the things as well. So Eugene, trying to figure this out here. Just has the blue in hand. Always laughter at AG here. Eugene think about this slot. Oh, okay. He's on a Deja Vu potion. This is something that is pretty interesting here. You could stack it to where you yellow tome into the double blue and then have a yellow tone under it as well. So you can Kano into the yellow tome, draw 2, have the double blue here as well. Pitch a Scour. I know he had Scours in his sideboard as well. Pretty good into a lot of the Enigma decks that were played beforehand. Before the PT, a lot of them are connected to what were the 0 cost aura that when you swing an aura for the first time, it gets a counter on it. It was really good against them, good against the people that are trying to just make it a lot of spectral shields as well. But more and more, I see the Enigma list go to an attack build or like more of a mid-range build. Scour has been a little bit less, but I still like to play at least 1 or 2 in the sideboard if I can, just in case. You play against Enigma that is doing something else. Looks like he hit a red tome and another blue. So actually, I'm going to use the red tome to Kano here. And sees a wildfire here. I don't like this because he does hit the spell off the top, right? But then he has to pitch that extra card and he doesn't have anything on his own turn. I would have definitely liked him to, use that tome, because you can't really stack anything like too important on the bottom of that tome here. I would have liked if he used that tome on his own turn to at least Waning Moon, at the worst Waning Moon here, or set up maybe a little bit more damage coming through just to chip out Enigma or to put that 1 extra card. Every single time that you're able to take 1 card away from the Enigma player as Kano, it's just so much better. Playing on your own turn, setting up those 1 for 4s, those 2 for 5s, and pressuring the Enigma in multiple turns is how you're going to get away. Every single time you take 1 card out of their hand on your turn, and then you go back to their turn, they use 2 to 3 resources. They have to use 2 to 3 resources to attack you. Then boom, you can kill every aura that they play. If you hit any spell at the top plus Waning Moon, is quite good. But it looks like it's going to be a pretty tame turn here. It's going to be a Lesson of Alignment into that Enigma Chimera. It's supposed to be 3 go again into 8 as well. Eugene already so low because he had to take 8 off of that Miragi earlier in the game here, so is at 15. So 41-15 here. Electral's always deceiving in a Kano match. You can always win out of nowhere, but we know there's 2 Blazings at the bottom. We've used 1 Wildfire as well. We've parked that card in the arsenal pretty early into this game. Haven't been able to play it as well from Eugene. We know it's not a red Telemorph, or he would have played it. Just can't see it because of how his arm is placed here. Looks like 8's coming in. He's going to block with 2 cards. Take 2, go to 13. Pretty good play here. You know that Zach's not going to play another aura, so you're not going to be able to... So you don't need to be able to kill anything, so you can just play this game a little bit more slowly. You're bleeding a lot early. Your left total is actually pretty valuable in this matchup because you just want to be able to hit... Well, this is the card he arsenaled on turn 0 of the game, so I guess we get more... We'll understand a little bit more. Alright, so it is a Spindle. Okay, so this would be a 2 for 4 here. This would be pretty good. So what? His starting hand was Spindle, Spindle, Blue, Blue, and one of the blues being Deja Vu. I think arsenaling the Spindle is correct. I think you just should have just passed on turn 0 and did nothing. He's gonna let all 4 of this Spindle hit. Going to 37 here from Zach. Because Zach is not like too terribly worried. Doesn't have any auras on the field. Is gonna come in with a 5-card hand. Your opponent's at 13. He has to block a decent amount here. Can't see that card he's going to arsenal, but we can see that there's at least a Wildfire in that 4 stack here. Wouldn't use the Tunic to come in with Waning Moon because you're losing too much damage here. Eugene thinking about this. Keeping a 5-card hand. He is pretty safe because he gets to keep this many cards, but... Looks like Zach has a Transcend card, another blue. Again, just out of frame for me to be able to see it here. Looks like he put all of them back on top. Uses the Tunic resource to Waning Moon here. Guess trying to get the value in. First card on the bottom, is he arsenaling? Okay, he is arsenaling, okay. Just a little out of order is perfectly fine. Okay, we have that Rage Spectre. That was the card that we arsenaled the previous turn. Then we've played a blue, and then we're going to pass over something here. The card doesn't matter. You can't really recur anything in modern day wizard right now. It's just going to choose the Wildfire to banish here, and then this is going to transcend. Allows him to flip the card here. Zach has another Mirror Guy in his hand as well. Actually, just want to attack for 6 here. If that is that last card in his hand a red. Makes sense if his last card in his hand is a red here. Just to attack for 6, because you can't, if you played the Mirror Guy and swung 8, here you would just have the Rage Spectre up and with a red in your hand, so basically any spell plus Winning would kill your Mirror Guy, which you don't want to do, and you would kill your Rage Spectre, which is pretty good not doing that as well. You also don't want to play the red if it's like a Phantasmaclasm or something, because you just have, you know, AB3 on the back end plus Tunic. which would definitely be spell plus Waning Moon to kill that Rage Spectre. See what Eugene does. Eugene has to get back into this game pretty quickly. You just have to be able to survive a decent amount as the Kano player. Looks like he's gonna block for 3. Take 3 damage, go to 10 here. Let's see if Zach just makes a Spectral Shield token with that flip cheat, or if he does play the Mirror Guy. He does play the Mirror Guy. Makes a lot of sense. Then he is going to pass the turn here. Arsenal, or presumably was a red card in his hand. Now Eugene's side here does have to have something impactful. Just plays the E-Pot. Huh? I understand trying to get the E-Pot out here, but you're facing down 2 auras here. You can't fall behind. Uses the Tunic plus a red in his hand. Or just passes the turn. What? Okay, if we don't have any kind of 4 breakpoint here, I guess it makes sense. There's no way, because didn't he have a Wildfire in the Opt 4 on the previous turn? So you should have been able to keep a Wildfire. Unless that's like, you just can't keep the Wildfire in your arsenal as well, because he has the 2 auras, so you can never get through with the Wildfire. So you have to send this Wildfire and only play with the 1 Wildfire later into the game, which is pretty hard, especially because you kind of, a lot of the time, have to double Wildfire your Enigma opponent to kind of win. It looks like he has Kindle, Wildfire, Blue most likely, but he's facing down this 8 right here. 2 floating plus 2 cards in his hand by Zach here. It's not really a way for Eugene to punch through on this turn as well. This is just a bad position. Understand trying to get the E-Pot out and then maybe arsenaling that Wildfire that was in the Opt 4, but you're just too far behind in this board state with double aura out there, so you do need to just cast that Wildfire or play off the top, try to hit a card to get you out of it as well, just to be able to at least pressure the Rage Spectre out, take a card, like take 1 or 2 cards and that Rage Spectre out, and then your opponent has, say, 2 cards plus. So imagine if he just had 1 full less card in his hand here, and then you hit anything that does 3 damage or more on your opponent's side, and you'd be able to clear this. Looks like he's going to Kano, then he's going to Kindle. Does have to go to 0 cards for that Kindle to draw. He's gonna respond to the Kindle here. Activate Kano 1 more time here. And then Raga. Okay, does hit the blue off the top, because we, after seeing his hand, knew. Puts the Wildfire back on top here. Can resolve. Wildfire is going to come down here. Then we have the Kindle out, but you have the card in hand. if you're going to go for it, you have to be able to probably pitch the Storm Terrors here with that blue if you're gonna go with it, with the card in the arsenal as well, because you need to get the 0 cards with the Kindle here, or you're just gonna blind flip here with the Kano. Those are your 2 options here with that blue. So you blind flip with the Kano, banish the card off the top, then Kindle draw, then you're looking at another banish off the Kano here as well, and then primarily either has Blazing or another Wildfire in his arsenal if he's playing it this way. Kindle lines are pretty interesting. We'll have to see what he does here. Primarily if he was going to so Kano's hits a blind less than a lava, which is very good. Now you can have the Kindle draw a card. You have the Kano floating here. The problem right now is that you have the Rage Spectre, which is a ward 6 on Zach's turn, and then you also have the ward 4, plus you have 2 cards in his hand and 2 floating here. So, okay, it looks like we have another Kindle in the arsenal. So Kindle's in the arsenal, which is pretty interesting as well. Has that card in the last card in his hand. If it's and you have the Kano floating. If this is a blue, if it's blue, it gets pretty interesting here. You can't Waning Moon still because the Kindle is an instant. If it's a red, then the E-Pot Storm Shatters to play the red if it's a 1 or less. This is a Cindering Foresight, which is a pretty bad draw off the blind Kindle here. Unless you hit specifically a tome in these 3 cards here. Like a blue tome blue would be like one of the best to try to get the double blue. So you could draw the first blue off the Kindle, be able to Kano as well. So we're looking at this now. We have +2 to the first spell that's going to happen here with that Cindering plus that Kindle. So pop the E-Pot, get 2 resources here. So something pretty interesting here is that the Waning Moon is going to get buffed by the Kindle. So the Waning Moon would come in for 4 here, and would not take up the Cindering Foresight, but be able to go there. But he's just going to Wildfire here for 6. Which the Wildfire there for 6 is just going to take that. So he's going to Kindle draw, cast the Lesson in Lava here, hitting it, like, at least hits the blue off the top, so he can Lesson. We're still in the same situation that this Lesson is not going to get through, because, although it is a 4, it's going to have a Restless Coalescence here. It's going to come in, has a War 2. And you take as many counters off of this Mirror guy here if he wants to. These are Waning Moon here. But actually, this Waning Moon does come in for 4. Because how AMP works... Okay, this is resolved incorrectly here. Because of how this happens, it's the first thing that would deal damage. So that Kindle should have went on to the Waning Moon, and this Lesson of Lava should come in for 3. That Waning Moon should have came in for 4, but this is resolved incorrectly here. AMP is weird. It's the first time this happens. If you come in with a spell, this Lesson of Lava technically is 3, and then would be 4 because of the AMP. But because the Waning Moon happens first, that is going to be the 4 damage instead, which unfortunately makes it so this is not resolved correctly here. The blind flip to the Kano is just going to come in with that 0 for 1, which just gets hit by the spectral, just has a spectral shield, nothing happens. Eugene takes 6 here. That's quite unfortunate because this game, the Miragi should not be out there, because if it was resolved the other way, because of the 4 and then the 3. Because the 4 would have happened. The 4 would have happened before the Restless would have been on the field. But another 6 coming in here. Has to blind flip here to not just immediately die. Hits a red tome, but this is one of the really grasping at straws here. If you are the Kano player here, 35 to 4. You hit a red tome off the top, just not super efficient though. You kind of want to Kano another time here before, because if you hit any spell that's like say you hit a 2, this is one of the rare cases to where you actually want to tome for +2 or tome for +1 depending on what you hit. But he actually is just going to go with a draw 2 here. Not a bad play either, but this is definitely one of the situations to where you probably should just Kano another time depending on what your hand looks like. Because that red tome giving plus to get over to that 4 breakpoint. The 4 breakpoint is basically the one thing that I'll always talk about in the Enigma Kano matchup. The 4 breakpoint is just miles ahead better than basically anything else that you can do in this matchup. So the 4 breakpoint, the 5 breakpoint, even depending on what your opponent's playing of their armor suite, usually the 4 breakpoint is level 1, 5 breakpoint is level 2. Then the thing that breaks all of it is just running attacks in Kano, but you're not able just to play at the top of your library, which realistically you don't want to do in this matchup at all. You have to be able to do it in situations that you find yourself in, but try not to put yourself in that situation many times is the reason why the attacks are super good, because you just want to play on your turn, which, if you've watched this entire game, we have not really played on our turn at all, besides playing 2 pots, which we've played in very suboptimal situations as well. Maybe the turn 0-1, you only get punished if it's going to be a... You only get punished if they have an aura, but did get punished because they had an aura and the rest of your hand was red, blue. But here we are. Second potion being played when there's 2 auras out is quite bad. Realize this hand probably was a wildfire, kindle, something and something else. So setting up with that E-pot is fine, but you just can't go off in that situation. You're going off to try to just get rid of his board when you just honestly had to, because you opt for, you know the cards you're drawing. You should have just started with that wildfire just to take one of the auras out, arsenal that kindle. Not arsenal the Kindle, but keep the Kindle in your hand. Unfortunate, but you just kind of have to do that. Keep the Kindle in your hand, or play the Kindle and then being able to Waning Moon plus the spell. Try to get multiple things out of Zach's hand as well. Wildfire 4 coming out. Restless is coming in right here. Pretty interesting subgame going on right now. Because the Restless is coming in here, you can take one counter off of the Mirror Guy. You can take one counter off the Mirror Guy, and it's going to come in for 4 if Eugene goes through this and eventually taps out no cards in his hand. So an AB3 here. That Winning Moon. So that Winning Moon is gone. Wildfire is coming in for 4. This Restless is going to come in for 2. And you're going to take another thing here. Oh, the Kindle is actually not a bad play here because it's not above the Wildfire. But an extra 1. Then he's going to be able to... I have a Ophidia here, which is another clutch draw. Finds a Snapback. Snapback's going to come through. This is going to come in for 4 with that Kindle. This is happening in front of the Coalescence here. So there's an EB1 plus the Ward 3 here. So we got the Mirror Guy out of the way here. And the Restless is going to come in. You can AB2 the Wildfire plus the Coalescence, not take any damage here as well. Problem is we've used all 3 Wildfires, all 3 Kindles here. Extremely hard to kill. You know we have at least 2 Blazings at the bottom of the library here. We got it back to the point to where Kano doesn't have any Enigma doesn't have any ores on the field. Kano's at 4, 35. Usually you want to be at this position like when you're at 4, when like your opponent is, you know, maybe also like 12 or less life with you, or maybe single digits with you, and it's perfectly fine here. But don't have a Ragamuffin hat, just have a Storm Shatters, no arsenal, no nothing. Your opponent has one. Zach's gonna come in with the 3 with Go Again primarily, if I would have to guess. So it comes with 3, there's no block 3 here. And we had that Phantasmaclasm that we had in the hand from so many turns ago. It's going to come in for 9. You have to at least block the 2 cards from your hand here, because this is coming in for 9 as well. Is going to look at Eugene's hand and put 1 to the bottom. Pretty interesting game here is if your opponent has like a non-block in his hand. I think pitching to Kano just makes you lose the game every time. Yeah, the fence has been... What happened? Did it just cut? Alright, I don't know what happened to the video, but every time I go back, it just... Yeah, I have no idea what's happening. But... Phantasmaclasm just kind of cuts to this. I guess he took 3, and then he's coming in for 6 here, and then he's blocking for 6 as well. Alright, looks like Eugene conceded or something happened. I don't know. But he was always going to lose this game from that position because he's out of wildfires, out of kindles, out of everything like that. Yeah, so this is Enigma versus Kano, and this one, pretty complicated matchup. There were some key mistakes that happened that which allowed Zach just to snowball this game, and it just snowballed out of control, which is perfectly fine. But this is something to learn to not play those E-pots when you literally can't play that E-pot with like 2 wards in the field no matter what. Like you have to pretty much use enough cards out of your hand. Like you have to give up those kindles, have to give up that wildfire. You have 1 more wildfire in your deck as well after you use it on that turn, just to try to clear his board here. You're just way too far behind. Starting from behind after the that turn 0 blunder, unfortunate, as I can say. So see you guys in the finals here of the EG. Peace.